At least you have your health.
Health's not good enough.
Not everyone shares your sense of humor.
Health is wealth.
Evolve. Evolve.
We evolve through pain.
Evolv the podcast.
Andrea and Julie.
It's time to begin.
Hi, I'm Andrea Wakott.
And I'm Julie Saunders, and welcome to Evolv the podcast.
This is week 2 of our 4-week challenge.
It is Fitness Journey Challenge.
Fitness Journey Challenge. Now you're adding words to the name. Okay, we're just changing it as
The
we go.
next show, there'll be more.
So last episode, if you haven't listened to it, go back and have a listen because we asked you to do a few things, and that is to set some very simple goals, but also establishing your why.
Yeah, why are we undertaking this? Why are we going to make this part of our life? You know, and there needs to be some sense to it. You know? And then what is it that we want to achieve? Long-term, mid-term, short-term goals.
Yeah.
And then how are we going to start that? How are we going to go about it? Yeah,
which are all really,
what's our initial prep? Sorry,
all really, really important things to start doing before you get to this week. And what are we going to do this week, Jules?
So last week is about laying those foundations and making sense, for yourself in undertaking this. And as I was saying last week, if you don't do this, you'll find yourself, drifting into it, not really having a sense of purpose about it for your life, not really committing to it, and not being accountable to it.
Because the number one thing that we want out of this 4 weeks is for things to stick.
That's right. So this is, I suppose it's like a 4-week prep, and obviously you'll start your process by, week 3 or 4. But it is really about gearing yourself up to be able to undertake this as a long-term, process, and you wanting to be doing it, pretty much every day of your life.
And you're doing it with me, who is just like you, possibly at home, who have been really having great intentions to get out there and do things, but just can't seem to maintain the momentum.
That's right. You get started and then the wheels fall off. Things happen. And I think this is where you have to make sense. I know we're backtracking a little bit to last week, but I think it's really important.
No, it is.
Is that, if you don't commit to this, if you don't make time for this, if you don't
schedule, diarise,
set yourself up, which is a part of our third sort of process of last week, and carve out that time, that routine for yourself, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Then you'll keep putting it aside. For most people, most people don't want to do this. We're quintessentially
it kind
lazy.
It sucks. That's why.
Until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't. I'm sure. I know it gets to a point where you love it.
That curve, that is a difficult, uphill slope for most.
Yes.
For most, and it's not until you sort of really start seeing results that you can go, you know what, I actually feel good. I'm looking good.
People are starting to notice. Your eyes are brighter and you've got more pep in your step.
All of those things. And it's really, really important, for you to sort of stick to it till you get to that stage, because most people give up before they get there, before they actually start to really see the benefits.
Yeah, I get that. So I guess whenever we're heading somewhere on a journey, the most important thing is to know where we're starting. Is that right?
Yeah. So, exactly right. So what we want to do is we want to set ourselves up to be able to gauge our progress here. And without that, and a lot of people will say, I don't want to do, take progress photos and all those sort of things. You don't have to do them with other people. You can do them yourself.
Yeah, no one has to see it but you.
Yeah. So part of this gauging your process is that you want to put a stake in the sand about where you are, and you go, I know where I am. I don't feel good, but in 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you will start to see changes. And if you don't, because they're small at the start, if you don't, diarise those in some way, then you really won't see it. It's kind of like, when you haven't seen a friend's child for quite a while and you go, oh my gosh, you've really grown.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. People will say to you, oh, wow, you're looking good. And it's like, oh, am I? Thank you.
Yeah.
You really need to see it. And this is another form of accountability.
Yep.
And it's super important. So you don't have to share this with anyone, but if you're working with a trainer, then obviously it's advantageous to do so, and they'll help you diarise it. And it's it's all very confidential. They're bound by confidentiality. They've got to keep those files between it's just between you and them. And unless it's something that you need to share with your GP, of course, someone professional, but that has to be obviously with your permission. Then it really is those personal records for you. So what we normally do is we do the things that people absolutely love, which is the measurements. So they consist of and I'm not a big fan of focusing on the scales, but
you do need to jump on it.
I think everyone does, because it's not all about weight loss. Sometimes it's about weight gain as well. But I think that you want to see and you can see progress on weight in other ways too, in quite positive ways. Which is, some people want to, get some muscle gains and some toning, and you'll find that you'll see that on the scales. However, for the most part, whilst I will do it depending on the goal setting, I don't focus on weight too much. There's the weight.
If you don't own a pair of scales, someone will. Just ask around.
Yeah, and if you go into a gym, pretty much every gym has them. Otherwise, they're pretty cheap to get from, again, my favourite store,
Kmart.
That's right. And they can tell you a whole lot of things. I think, Andrea, you went out and bought some scales early on, and it told you a whole lot of things about you.
It does.
That can also be a bad thing. So now, if you're fixated and this is a bit of a trigger for you, ditch the scales. But what I do urge you to do is do your other measurements. So you want to be doing, your measurements of your bust, your waist, your hips. You want to make sure that you got a height. You want to sort of have a look at your height compared to your weight. So that's something.
Is that the
we
BMI
do.
thing?
Indeed,
There's lots of Googles. If you just Google how to work out my BMI,
that's right. You can do your own.
Yep.
But your bust, your waist, your hips, or your chest for a guy, your biceps, and that's not the fully flexed. That's the nice and relaxed, and also your thighs. So there's a way to take those measurements, which we might put in the notes.
Yep.
And that is, again, a stake in the sand about where you're at, and you can do those. I suggest that you do those pretty much every month. I like to do mine with clients at the start of each month, and we just record them and have a look at them. But the better gauge for me when I'm working with someone is the photos, what we call progress photos. And if you are feeling a bit vulnerable about taking those or having your trainer take them, then what I suggest you do is do your own. Get your your husband, your partner, someone that you trust to take them on your own phone, and you can record those. And what we do is we take a front, side, and back view. That is the one thing that really I find resonates with people. They see the change.
Yeah, that's huge. And I mean, if we were in our 20s, I mean, that's just normal for TikTokers and Instas. They got their progress all over the place, from where they start to where they finish. But we're not like that. We're a little bit older, a little bit more conservative. We want to keep that stuff to ourselves. So I get it.
It is. It's a bit confronting to do, but I urge you to do it. As I said, if it's not in partnership with your trainer, then do them yourself. Go home and get them done yourself, and do that at each month, monthly intervals, so that you can start to see your progress or lack thereof. Sometimes that's a really good accountability to go, oh, wow, I was tracking really well for these 3 months, and oops, Christmas happened.
And now I got my
exactly.
Poochie back.
Yeah. So that's right. So that setup, that's part of that setup is for me very crucial. I talk my clients through that.
Well, if you don't know where you're
get them to
starting,
commit.
You don't know where you went. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know your journey or your progress if you haven't diarised and kept a record of where you started.
And for the most part, we humans, we need that. If you can see progress, it really does keep you on track.
And it is so hard to look in a mirror and see your progress.
Yeah.
You don't notice it.
Yeah, be really, objective about, and you just don't see those small gains. Yet if the photo evidence is in front of you, you go, oh, well, actually,
you're looking at it through someone else's
even though
eyes.
I still feel like I'm this, or I'm feeling like, I haven't put on anything, or I haven't reshaped in any way, when you've got photographic evidence, it's hard to deny.
Hard to say, no, because you'll be able to see it.
And it's exciting when you see that. And it really does
Motivate you.
keep you motivated, exactly. So that would be my next stage.
Okay, well,
that
that's
we're
really
up to.
important stuff. So measurements, photos.
Unless you're a bit obsessive with it, so we've got to be careful. Some people just it doesn't work for them.
Yep.
So we find other ways.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, it's about setting a routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I
so
think,
important, I'm sure.
Yeah, very much so. And I generally, I'm not someone who likes to train in the morning. So it's not just about the routine of training. For me, this is about the routine of every day.
Yep.
So, getting up, getting out of bed, and doing something for yourself before you do something for anybody else is important. And people say, I don't have time to do that. So the simple solution to that is get your ass out of bed 15 minutes bloody earlier. It's simple, okay? So
It's not fun.
And it's not
but it's
fun.
simple.
It's not fun. I do it and I'm tired in the mornings. I've got big days ahead of me. But what it does give me back, and it does give me something back, it actually energizes me. And where I'd like you to take it, if it's not immediate, which honestly it should be, is to get yourself out of bed. And people say, I really struggle. So do I. Really struggle to do that. Again, it's quite simple.
Just count to 3 and put your feet on the floor.
Exactly that, Andrea. It's exactly what I say to them. Sit up, sit on the edge of the bed, put your feet on the floor.
Yep.
All right, you're halfway there.
Yep.
So once you do that and you actually, can stand, go and have a glass of water. You have, sweated at night, you have depleted at night. Your cells have replenished from the water, so they've plumped themselves up a bit, but you are essentially dehydrated. So go and have a glass of water or two. That's your first thing. Yeah.
So that's a good thing to practice.
Every day.
Doing something every day
Every
for yourself,
single day,
isn't it?
Yes.
It's a simple
and
thing.
And do you know what? It will stop. People complain so much about headaches and those sort of things. They get out of bed, they're rushed, they haven't given themselves time, and I included, and I really have to be, firm with myself to do it. Go and have that glass of water or two, and you will feel so much better.
Yeah.
You really, really will. So that's the first part of your routine. From there, I then encourage my clients to do a bit of a dynamic stretching routine. You've been lying down, for hopefully for about 7 or 8 hours. For anything like me, it's substantially less at the moment.
Same, because I've had to trek to the toilet a few times. And I've had to,
all of the things that happen.
Yeah.
So give your body, stretch your body. And it only honestly takes about 5 minutes to go through a bit of a stretching routine. And we might put something together for
what's
people.
always really good, and I should start doing this, it's the Salute to the Sun yoga move. It has a few moves in it. It's like a sequence, but it's brilliant. It opens you up. It stretches you.
Yep.
I might find a little YouTube clip of that and put it in the show notes.
And you know what? At this stage, I don't mind what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat to do, whether you want something a little bit more, run the, the
more
things
clinical,
I used to
less
do.
woofty smoofty.
That's right. That I do with, some of the, the footy players of past and so forth. That you do some dynamic stretching. It's pretty, old school, or something more like that Andrea's talking about. I really don't mind. What it does, it brings oxygen into your body.
Yep.
So you've replenished the fluids, brings oxygen into your body, and wakes you up. And you do actually feel, you've done something yourself. You've sort of, ironed out those kinks. If you're anything like me, you've probably fallen asleep with your glasses still on after trying to read what you're supposed to be doing the next day.
Yeah.
Your neck's a bit sore, and it does help you there.
It's just a really good way. If you feel good starting your day, you're more likely to probably go and do some kind of exercise.
And you know what? In 15 minutes, you've given yourself something back. Now, I'm not saying it has to be the first 15 minutes of putting your feet on the floor, but I do urge you to pretty much do that before anything else. You might want to pee first, but
well, that is a necessity.
it is
I'm
a
just
necessity.
saying.
So if you can start your routine every day for a week doing that, gear yourself up, feet on the floor,
Glass of
water or two,
and some stretching.
Simples.
Just
Just for a week. Get that as part of a routine. All right, commit to it. And not just for a week, but start yourself on a week of that before we add this next step in. So I'm going to give you the next step though.
Okay.
So the next step really is to go outside and walk, or if you've got a treadie at home or a bike, I want you to do 15 minutes of something. It start with 5.
Every day?
Start with 5. 5 minutes walking.
Every
5
day?
minutes walking.
Okay.
Every single day.
That's to the letterbox, down to the corner and back, or whatever.
I want, I want to obviously, urge you to do a lot more. But what I said last week is very true. Start small.
Yeah, and as you said, it's just about
Start
building the routine.
small and don't make it painful. Make it enjoyable. Do you know what I said to some clients? Actually, just go outside and don't walk.
Yeah.
Go outside if it's that much of I can't be bothered, or I don't have time,
Feel
or whatever.
the sun on your skin, or
the rain, or the
the
wind at
wind,
the moment.
yeah.
Go outside and just breathe in the outside world for 5 minutes. Give yourself that that meditative type feel for the day. It sounds all very airy-fairy and all that sort of thing, but I guarantee you will actually feel much better.
Yeah.
Because we plough through our day hardly looking up, So give yourself 5 minutes outside. You've done 5 minutes stretching. It's taken you 5 minutes to pee and have water. There's 15, maybe 20 minutes. At most, if you want to bring it down to 15 minutes, you're giving yourself 15 minutes of you time.
yes, you time. You deserve you time.
You do.
Me time.
And it will set you up and put you in good stead for what the next step. What I'm about to throw at you next.
It always gets harder. But I love the way we're starting nice and simple, really achievable. My brain hasn't overloaded or exploded at this point, so I'm along with the journey. And hopefully you guys are as well, because, we are really easing you in, and I love that. Thank you.
And look, it is slow and steady, and you will have to, make some bigger steps soon. But if you don't put, as I keep saying, if you don't put these foundations down, then honestly, most people, they just.
But there's nothing wrong with starting small.
No, not at all.
Small is where you get a sense of satisfaction, achievement, your confidence grows, like that for me, fear and all of those things come into play here. So when I'm starting small and I'm doing things that I know I can do, it makes me feel like I can tackle the next step. Whereas a lot of training, it's just like, bang, you're in, it's hard, you're hurting, I like this method. I'm going this way.
Take this back, and I take this back to when I was a child, we didn't have the mobile phones and all those sort of things that we always talk about. So doing these things was something that we kind of just did.
Yeah.
You did get up. You wanted to go outside because
Life was different.
We weren't stuck to these devices.
Yeah.
So I think that it's kind of taking it back there a little bit and not. Not having these devices sort of run our lives from the minute that we get up.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
I love it. So that's week 2. We will put all of that in the show notes, and you will have all the information at hand. Thank you very much, Julie, for sharing all this wisdom with us, because,
I'm not sure. I think
We often have
everybody knows this. I think you just have to bring it into conscious
No,
thought.
but I think, and it's a good timely reminder to say, if you are needing some help, even this small stuff seems hard, get some professional help. Jules is available no matter where.
Absolutely.
She can do it online, over the phone, all that sort of stuff. But getting that kind of professional help is really key, I think.
Keeping you on track. But you have to be committed yourself. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter who you engage, because at some stage, you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet, literally.
No, I refuse. All right. Well, thank you, Jules. Thank you to you for tuning in. And we're going to catch you next week because, for another 2 weeks, we are weekly with this pod.
That's right. Follow us along. Let me hear your questions. I said last week, no questions too silly, except the ones coming from Andrea.
You still haven't told me who's winning the election.
Exactly.
Never mind. I think it's Kamala Harris. Anyway, all right. Toodles.
We can only hope.
Evolv the podcast.
Say goodbye to Andrea and Julie.
This episode of Evolv the podcast was co-produced by Julie Saunders and Andrea Waycott. If you wish to get in contact with the show, please reach out on social media. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, or email evolvethepodcast@gmail.com. That is Evolv with no E. Thanks for listening. Till next time.